to you tonight will be really helpful in helping you move forward and finding colleges and looking at costs and being able to help your son or daughter go to college and receive some post-secondary education. My name is Ashley Knudsen. I'm the Youth Career Development Manager with the Greater Green Bay Chamber, and this event is brought to you by the Chamber in partnership with Wells Fargo and NWTC. Thanks so much for hosting us and helping us put this together tonight. Just to kick things off, I'm just going to touch a few things about college visits in general, a little bit on my background. I used to teach high school, and then I got involved at the college level coaching soccer, so I dealt a lot with the admissions end, a lot of campus visits, a lot of students who are thinking about playing college athletics and looking at a lot of different schools, and so I really got to know families well and some of the questions that they had when they were visiting schools, kind of what they were looking for, and really got to know a lot about what a lot of families didn't necessarily know coming to visit us for the first time, or didn't necessarily really think about. So hopefully I can give you some helpful tips to think about when you do go on some of those visits, or if you've been on some visits, maybe call back if you didn't get the information on these topics. So what I really want to talk to you about is finding the school that's the right fit for you. The right fit for your son, the right fit for your daughter. What I mean by that is I get a lot of kids who go, I want to play soccer, I want to go to college, and they've come to my university, which was a small university, and they get there and sometimes we didn't have their program of study, sometimes we were a small school, they were looking for a big school. All the universities that you visit, they want to make sure that it's the right fit for you guys. By that meaning what you're looking for out of the university. So we'll talk a little bit about what that means academically, socially, and financially. Academically, finding the right fit is really going to be that your career goals. What school is really going to help you reach your career goals? So if there's a college, if there's a career you have in mind, looking at what program of study, what level of education you need to reach that. So that might be a certificate program, it might be a license you need to get, it might be a 2-year university, it might be a 4-year university. Maybe you need to go on for your master's or PhD program, depending on what level you want to get in within certain career fields. So really making sure you have conversations around if that university has that program of study, so that you know when you go to that school that you can complete your college career there. We get a lot of students in who would not really think about that so carefully, and then by freshman or sophomore year they're transferring schools. And that's great because at least you figured it out first year in, but if you can avoid that having to transfer, it makes your life so much easier. And trust me, the universities that you're attending want you to stay, and they want you to have the right fit right away too. So it doesn't work out, it doesn't look good for them that they have students transferring out a couple years in. So they really want to make sure you make that right fit decision right away when you start. Another thing that you can do is look at some of the faculty that exist at that university who will be teaching you, depending on if you have some specific career objectives for different companies. If you can do some faculty research to see what their network is, what connections they might have within some of those companies, just to give you a kind of a next leg up in that network when you graduate and what that career goal is, that'll get you set up on the right foot. So academically, really looking at that program of study, and even your second program of study. We all know there's a lot of people, if you've met with anyone before, my first college major was not where I ended up with my career. So looking at, if I want to change my mind, if I'm going between a couple, does that school have both of my options so that maybe I can also avoid having to transfer to a different school because, if I change my mind, they still have a program that I'm looking for, and I can just continue down that other route still at that same school. So looking for that right fit is really important academically. Socially, this means a couple of different things. I talked about a lot of students who would come and see our campus. We're a small campus. They got there and they go on tour, and tour took 10 minutes, and they'd be like, well, I kind of was hoping for something a little bigger. That's okay. We're not the school for you. So look first at that school, that city size, that school size. That's one of the big things. And if you don't know what you feel like going to, if you don't know what a big school feels like, you don't know what a smaller school feels like, that's okay. go out and go on a couple of visits of different sized places just to get a feel for what you like. And then after you get a feel for a couple, that can help kind of narrow down your search. The other big consideration is distance from home. Everyone gets homesick when they go off to college. I know your kids who are here are like, I can't wait to go to school. But I had girls every year who couldn't wait to go to college, couldn't wait to join our soccer team, couldn't wait to be a part of this. And within the first week, they're crying, they're calling their mom and dad and saying, come pick me up right now. And that's normal, it's okay, because it's a big change. But at the same time, getting an understanding about what's an acceptable distance from home that you want to be is something that you'll need to consider. So if that's a couple hours to where going home on the weekend is something that's doable and that's great, and that's what you want, look at those things versus, school that might be 4, 5, 6 hours away, and maybe every weekend coming home isn't an option anymore, so feasible. And maybe you're okay with that, something that's still a good school for you. So looking at that distance from home is really important. Some on-campus, off-campus living options is kind of the next step. If you're looking to get that dorm experience, some universities don't really have that dorm experience on their campus. So if that's a social piece of your college experience that you're looking for, and that is very important to you, making sure that you have that as an option is really important. The second thing that's really important about that is the off-campus living option. So making sure that there's safe environments, the neighborhood's good, you feel comfortable in some of those off-campus apartments or living options. So looking at those and considering that, and the cost to those is really important too. The last thing I want to touch on is clubs and sports. Like I said, I coach college soccer, so I want to tell you that if you're involved in any high school athletics or different clubs, music, theater, anything like that, that there is a school to continue doing that. Now, you might not be a Division I level athlete, but there's other smaller schools, even at the Division III level, that even if you're borderline varsity JV player, you can probably look around, and if you do the right research, you can find a place where you can continue to play at your level and get that team experience and that leadership experience from teamwork and being a part of an athletic team. A lot of schools also have athletic clubs, so you can join those clubs and get a little less commitment and still get the experience of being part of that athletic club. There's also clubs and teams for different things like music, theater, dance, everything like that. So you can do your research on your schools and what kind of social environments that they have beyond sports and clubs that you can be a part of. And oftentimes there's scholarships at the Division II, Division I, or NAIA universities for other things besides athletics, such as music and theater. So you can look into some of those additional scholarships as well if you're interested in those programs. So that right fit socially is very important. You want to go to a place you're going to feel comfortable. I would recommend visiting campus on a day that there's class. I know it's easier to get there on the weekends, to get there after the work day, to get there during the summer, but you really don't get a feel for what that campus is like unless the student population is there and they're buzzing around and you really get a feel for what being a student at that university would be like. So I'm really encourage you to maybe take a little bit out of your daily convenience to go visit a campus when there's school in session. The last piece, which I'll just touch on before we introduce the rest of the program for tonight, is finding that right fit financially. That right fit financially really matches up with the other two in that when you're looking for that academic and that career piece, look at the school's job placement percentage in your career field. See what that success rate is. Talk to the professors, talk to the faculty, talk to the admissions office, and learn about that so that you know a little bit about how likely it is you're going to have the job you want, the career you want when you leave. And how long is it going to take you to get there? So if it's a 4-year university, is it really 4 years? Or does your program at that university maybe take 4.5 or 5? Because if it takes 4.5 at this university, but 4 at this other one that costs a little bit more, you really need to just look at that because that's a half of the year where you're not paying tuition at this school and you're making a salary instead, and that might make up for the extra cost of attending that university. So when we start to look at some of the really determining the cost of your education, looking at how long you're going to be in school is important, as well as the per year cost. The next piece is your salary expectation for when you leave. Think about what career you want and what you're going to make, what that average salary is you're going to make when you get out. Because when we're looking at the cost of attending our school, if I'm going to get a job that maybe pays me $30,000 a year when I'm out, but I'm going to attend a university that's going to cost me $100,000 a year as I'm going to school, my likelihood to be able to pay off that debt a comfortable way for me, that's something that you have to balance and determine, is that really the best option for me? Is that really the right fit? Or can I achieve the same career goals, the same career objectives by attending a university that might be more affordable for me, to where now my student loan payment when I get out is something manageable. So looking at those kind of things can help as well. And that really touches on and leads us into the next piece, which I'll introduce Jane Lemke, who's our partner from Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is an amazing community member when it comes to this financial planning piece, financing your college, and really touching on helping everyone get as prepared as they can so they come out of school with the least loan debt they can, and be ready to pursue their career goals. So I'll introduce Jane and hand it over to you.
Perfect, thank you, Ashley. She did a phenomenal job on that part of it. Give her a round of applause. I am really pleased to be here tonight. As Ashley said, my name is Jane Lemke. I'm currently with Wells Fargo in our Education Financial Services Division. Wells Fargo's vision as a company is to help people succeed financially. So our goal when it comes to education is to be certain that everyone has a good understanding as well as good resources to figure out what questions you have as a family and to have people to ask them and get your answers. Even to the point where we can give you, hopefully, answers to questions you're not even sure you should be asking. So I'm really pleased to be here tonight. I've been in the financial aid profession for 30 years. I started my career as the financial aid director at Marian University. I've also been the director of student financial services at Carroll University as well. And I came on with Wells Fargo to oversee the Education Financial Services Division for the region here in the Midwest, Wisconsin, Northern Illinois, Chicago, and Michigan. So my background in financial aid not only includes the office setting at those universities, but I'm a product of financial aid. I'm first generation, and I took student loans, I did the work study, I received the scholarships, I did all of that. So what I want to make sure is that what I do tonight is pay it forward. Please be certain that you ask questions. We will all be here at the end. We want to make sure you're starting off on the right foot. Before I go any further, I would like to know if there are any veterans in the audience. If you please stand. Any veterans? Thank you for your service and the sacrifice that you did to protect our country. It's very special, so thank you. And for all of those in the audience as well who have family members in the service, thank you for everything you do to support that. I know we have them in our family. It's a pretty special thing. So, now the other thing I want to learn is who we have in the audience. Where are my students? Raise your hands. All right, this is great. This is actually a really good student turnout. Students, you have to know all of this because once you get on the college campus, all the communications start to come to you. Now, how many families are doing this for the very first time? Around, you see, you're not in this alone, and the resources you have here tonight are going to help you get through all of those questions that you have and get you started on the right foot. Show of hands of seniors, families of senior students. All right, perfect. How about juniors? Thank you for getting started early. Sophomores, thank you for getting started earlier. And what about freshmen? Perfect. You can't start early enough. That's my response to that one. All right. So joining me tonight in the presentation is Emily Isabart. Emily, stand up. She's going to come up here in about 2 or 3 slides. Between Emily and I, we were talking about this, we have 57 years of experience in financial aid and completing FAFSAs, okay? So, you have some real good resources tonight. If you have questions specific to your family, like I said, we'll be here to answer one-on-one as well afterwards. So, let's get started. Your financial aid journey is what we're going to cover. The materials that you received tonight, Wells Fargo provides from coast to coast across the country for families. The college planning guide is there for you. There's a great magazine in the back for parents and students to learn more about just managing money, selecting a career, financing the college as well. And you will also see in the back pocket there's a small booklet with some tabs called Your Financial Aid Journey in 5 Steps. That's what we're going to cover tonight. So you can make notes in there as we go through each step, all right? So step 1 of your financial aid journey, and our goal is to give you a high-level roadmap, so as you start this process, you feel comfortable with what step comes next. We did months of research at Wells Fargo on this whole process of college financing and what do parents want to know, and their response was, when it comes to financial aid, we get so overwhelmed we don't know where to start. We can Google it, and that's an endless search. We can go out to every college and university website. They all present it a little differently, so help us figure out where we should be going. So that's where we put together the materials for you that you have tonight with regard to narrowing it down and really simplifying it into 5 steps for you. So step 1 is completing the FAFSA, and Emily's going to talk about that in a minute with you. Step 2 is going to be estimating the total cost that you will have as a family, and to figure out how much out-of-pocket dollars you're going to need. So in other words, what financial aid and scholarships will cover, and what do you need in addition to that at each specific school that you're looking at. And then if you need additional funding, we actually will tonight talk in step 4 about exploring additional college financing options now. So you're not scrambling once the bill comes and you're looking to move everybody onto the college campus in a couple weeks. And then step 5, knowing your deadlines, all right? So we're gonna break it down that easily for you. So why pursue college or education beyond high school, okay? And again, the numbers basically show that your income is going to increase as well as your employment opportunities. They will increase along with that. And tonight when we're talking college, college can be a technical school, it can be a proprietary, a trade, anything like that. So education beyond high school. And again, this is pretty much the same information, just in a different format that can show you, and it's just a better visual of the higher level of education translates to the higher income. Now, Ashley had a really good point though before. When you're looking at the whole value of education, you want to be certain that from a family standpoint, that it is financially reasonable, so you're not going into debt that the salary cannot pay, okay? And really, the goal is to go to college or increase your education beyond high school to get a lifestyle after you finish that education. And that lifestyle is not likely to be one where the student is working 3 jobs to pay student loans, all right? So it is so important to keep the borrowing within the limits of the career that the student is going for, and the lifestyle to be the lifestyle that the student would like, okay? There are certain careers that you're working 24/7, you are really committed to your career, and for someone who would like a family, raise a family, maybe that's not the right career, okay? Even if it has a great income. So it's just a balancing act of discovering and exploring, like Ashley said, the right fit for you as you go through this. So, knowledge is power. We are going to start with the 5 steps now, and we're going to start with the FAFSA. I'm going to turn it over to Emily. And Emily is the Director of Financial Aid here at the Tech. Thanks, Emily. I had to hold the microphone because I didn't have anything to clip it on.
Okay, so I'll talk about completing the FAFSA. We won't go into a lot of detail about how to do the FAFSA, because one of the handouts that we gave you was locations for College Bowl Wisconsin events. And up here on the screen we have the events that are local to the Green Bay area. College Bowl Wisconsin are events that are hosted by high schools, colleges, and it's there to provide assistance for filling out the FAFSA. So you can actually go to one of these College Bowl events and fill the FAFSA out on that evening or that afternoon, and there will be financial aid professionals there to assist and answer questions about how to fill the FAFSA out. The goal is to get you to complete the FAFSA on that particular day. So we are hosting a College Bowl Wisconsin event here on February 24th, which is a Wednesday, so it'll be from 6 until 8 that evening. And then we're also hosting one at our Shawano Regional Center on the 27th, which is a Saturday. That'll be from 10 until noon. And then UW Oshkosh and Fox Valley Tech are also offering College Bowl events on the 20th. So you can see from the sheet that we handed out, there's also a location at UW Marinette. So there's a variety of locations. You can attend any of them. It's a great event for you to get help filling out the FAFSA, but then your student can also apply for a scholarship at the location that they attend as well. So completing the FAFSA, we recommend that everyone complete the FAFSA. Regardless of your income, we always suggest that families fill out the FAFSA. A lot of times families don't feel that they're going to qualify, so we tell them to at least fill it out the first year so that they at least know what they do qualify for. We just never know what types of aid you might qualify for. And it is a free application, so we recommend that you fill it out at least the first year to determine what your son or daughter may qualify for in financial aid. The first thing you want to do is pull together all of the information that you're going to need for the FAFSA, and that's things like parent and student income information, their income taxes, W-2s, wage statements, any bank or investment account information, because you will need to know value of investments for both the parents and the student. And then also, if you have any untaxed income information, you'll want those documents as well. There is a tool online called the FAFSA Forecaster. You can go online and do a forecast or an estimate. You can get an estimate of what you would be eligible for, so that's certainly available to you. You'll enter information from current income taxes, and the FAFSA Forecaster then would at least give you an idea of what you could qualify for as well. And that's something you can certainly do at this point. The FAFSA is available as of January 1st of 2016 for the 2016-17 academic year, which for most schools would start in September, but it will depend on what school or college your son or daughter is looking at. So you'll want to check with the school to determine which application is appropriate for them to fill out. One thing to keep in mind is that in 2017-18, the timeline for the FAFSA is going to change. Congress has actually determined that it will benefit families more if they can use prior year income on the FAFSA rather than the most recent year. So they'll be using what they call prior year. So in 2017-18, you'll be using the 2015 income information to apply for financial aid. Whereas for the 2016-17 academic year, you'll be using 2015 information as well.
So just something to keep in mind if you have a junior or sophomore, things can change as far as when the FAFSA is available. Currently, the FAFSA will be available in January for 2016-17, but then for 2017-18, most likely it'll be available after October 1st for you to fill out. So just keep that in mind because that date will change. One of the questions that we get a lot from families is, why do I have to provide my information on this application? My son or daughter's 18, I no longer support them, they don't live with me. So that's what we call dependency status. So just to clarify for the FAFSA, there's several questions that are asked on the FAFSA that determine a student's dependency status. In a nutshell, until a student is 24 years of age, they are considered a dependent for financial aid purposes. So for the most part, I would say the majority of students that are just out of high school are dependent students. But if they can answer yes to any of these questions, were they born before January 1st of 1993? Are they married? Are they working on a master's degree, doctorate degree? Are they active in the U.S. Armed Forces? They have children of their own that they're providing support to, more than 50% of the support. So those are some of the questions that are asked to determine if the student does qualify as an independent student. So those are just some examples. If they were in foster care, if they were considered a ward of the court, if they were an emancipated minor. Now, Wisconsin doesn't have an emancipated minor. There is no such thing as emancipation in the state of Wisconsin, but that is on the application. So just understand that the application is national, so some of the questions may not necessarily apply. But if you have questions about this, you certainly can reach out to the financial aid offices. We're happy to answer questions for students, whether they're coming to NWTC or not. You can certainly call us. We can answer those questions about the FAFSA and how to fill the FAFSA out. And then another question that often we run into trouble with, or that people run into trouble with on the FAFSA is, who's the parent? Whose information do I have to include on the FAFSA? So this chart gives you an idea of who the parent is. It asks some different questions. And I just want to go online real quick. Because I opened this up. If you Google, this is easy to find. If you go ahead and just Google the who is a parent on the FAFSA, you'll get to this page. You can find this page, which is a federal student aid page. And it breaks it down real simply. If the parents were never married, the student would use the parent who they lived with the most in the last 12 months, their custodial parent. Whoever was the custodian of that child would be considered the parent. If the parents are unmarried but they live together, the student's going to include both of the parents' information, regardless of the fact that they're not married. If the parents are married, of course, both parents. If the parent is remarried, it would be the parent and the step-parent's information on the application. And then if the parent is widowed or divorced, divorced or separated, it would be the parent that the student lived with the most during the last 12 months, again, the custodial parent. And then if the parent is widowed, it would be the surviving parent at that point. But again, this chart, when you go to that page, it'll give you a visual image. You can click on that, and that's where this chart comes in as well. Are the parents married to each other? Yes. Then you include both parents. If the answer is no, do the parents live together? If the answer is yes, then both the parents. So it walks you through that so you can determine who the parents are that you provide information about on the application. So then if you're wondering what kind of financial aid you might receive after completing the FAFSA, I'll just briefly go over the different types of financial aid that are available. When you fill out the FAFSA, you're applying for all federal and state financial aid programs. Many schools require the FAFSA to be considered for institutional aid. So many colleges that offer institutional scholarships or need-based financial aid will ask you to fill the FAFSA out. So that's another reason for everyone to fill the FAFSA out. But when you fill the FAFSA out, these are the programs that you'll be considered for when you apply for financial aid. The Pell Grant program. Pell Grants provide need-based grants to students who are in undergraduate programs, so students who are seeking their first bachelor's degree. Pell Grants do not have to be repaid. If the student would withdraw from school, that would be an exception to that. They may have to repay some of the Pell Grant that they received. State financial aid is available through the state of Wisconsin, and it may be available for the student to attend college in the state of residence. So Wisconsin residents would qualify for Wisconsin state aid. If you attend a school outside of the state of Wisconsin, you would not qualify to take that money outside of the state of Wisconsin, and you also wouldn't qualify for that state's financial aid either. Institutional aid might be provided by public and private colleges and universities. It depends from college to college. So that's something you're going to want to check with the financial aid office about, is whether they have some institutional funding available. Federal Work Study is a great program offered at a lot of different colleges. Students can work while they're in school. They can work during their study. The nice thing about work study is that it's generally around their schedule. It's generally more flexible. We don't anticipate that students are going to be on campus during breaks and things like that. They do have to work around their class schedule, so it's in between classes or during their break periods during the day. And a lot of times students can get some great work experience that can go on their resume for them, and they can earn some income while they're at school. The other benefit to work study is that if a student works under the work study program, that income is excluded from their earnings when they apply for financial aid the next year. It is considered taxable. It is taxable income, but it's not considered when you look at wages on the FAFSA. The Federal Perkins Loan Program is a low-interest loan program for students with exceptional financial need. It does have to be repaid at some point, but it is a low-interest loan program. Not all schools will participate in that program, so that's something that you'll want to check with financial aid offices at the different colleges that you're considering as well. And then the federal direct staffer loans, there are subsidized loans and unsubsidized loans. These are the federally funded loan programs that are available to students that attend colleges and universities who are seeking degrees. The difference between the subsidized and the unsubsidized is when the interest will begin to accrue on those loans. If a student qualifies based on financial need, they would be eligible for a subsidized loan. If a student does not qualify based on financial need, they could still get an unsubsidized loan. So often we hear families that will say, oh, we aren't going to qualify for anything. Well, families qualify, everyone qualifies for something. It may be an unsubsidized loan, but it's a student loan that is funded by the federal government. The student doesn't have to repay until after they graduate or drop below half-time. So there's some benefits to borrowing under the subsidized loan or the unsubsidized loan program. If you haven't started already, you're going to want to start looking for different scholarship opportunities, not just locally, but at the colleges and universities that you're considering as well. And Jane will go into more detail about scholarships that are awarded based on various criteria for students, and she'll talk about that a little bit later as well.
All right, so how's everybody doing so far? A little bit of information, right? All right, you have your booklet, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take notes. And also keep in mind that this year, the partnership between Wells Fargo and the Chamber is going to be a little different. We've done a financial aid night every year, and we've started this process earlier this year to get you started and then to provide the resources on where to go to complete your FAFSA. The College Go Wisconsin events are really helpful because you just bring all your information in, you'll sit down at a computer, someone in the local area of the financial aid professionals are all there, they'll sit down with you, answer your questions, and when you leave, you hit submit, sign it, and you're done, all right? So we wanted to get that information out to everyone so you know that you have a resource and a venue to go and complete that FAFSA. Then what Ashley and I are working on is in the April timeframe, early April or late March, we will get out more information about the next step. And that is, Emily has talked about all of the aid awards, the Pell Grants, the state grants, the institutional grants, the loans, all of that. You don't have to be an expert on all that tonight. We're gonna cover that again in March. So we want you to get an understanding, we want you to get out there to complete that FAFSA, and then we'll help you figure out those financial aid award letters and give you tips on that as well when that is the important time. March, April timeframe, all right? So before I get into estimating the costs, let's talk about scholarships. How many of you are aware of how many marketing mailing lists you are on? Yeah, and email lists and all of that. High school students are the most sought after when it comes to getting information out to make you feel like you can't do this on your own and you need to pay somebody to help you to do it, all right? Please do not put out any money to a consultant, to a scholarship search, to anyone like that, because all of your resources are available locally and they're free, and they're also available at all your colleges and universities, and they are free. Emily and I are just the tip of the iceberg of the professionals here in the state of Wisconsin that can help you, but every financial aid office has a team there to help you. The admissions people will help you as well. So please don't pay the $49.95 or the, $69.99 or sign on $1,500 with a consultant who wants to do it all for you. And I will tell you this, my contact information will be on the last slide. If you get something that you are just, you really want to do it, give me a call. I'll research it for you, okay? I've done that for families before. I will. If it's a really good deal, I want to know about it too. But, okay, so I'll leave it at that. Now, when it comes to scholarships, let's talk about scholarships, because this is free money. It's going to take a little bit of time. Students, raise your hands again. All right, yeah, this is sort of an effort to wake you back up. But, so, if you spend a Saturday, a couple hours on a Saturday, writing an essay, and you have the outline of that essay, and you can just sort of reprint it and kick it off and copy and paste it, and fill out scholarship applications. If you end up with $500 in the end, that was well worth the time that you put in for those scholarship applications, okay? It's free money. The part about being a high school senior and going into your freshman year is often these new student scholarships are renewable, okay? And they're looking for you out of high school and coming in as an incoming freshman. You are less likely to have the opportunity as a college junior or a college sophomore to have as many scholarship opportunities. So now's the time when you need to do it, all right? So here's the, here are my rules on how this all works. There are 3 levels of scholarships, and I'm going to give it to you from the most likely to get to the least likely to get. You are most likely to get local scholarships, all right? And there are resources, there are some resource links on the handout that you got in front as well. Check your high school counselor website, okay? And where are my freshman, sophomore, junior parents? All right, I want all of you to go out to that website right now and see what seniors are getting. It might give you the opportunity to get your student involved in something they may not have thought about, which could set them up for the opportunity to get money their senior year. Maybe it's a volunteer activity that they want, that a donor wants to see a student do, okay? Freshmen, sophomore, juniors have the opportunity to be doing that now. So seniors and senior families, watch the guidance counselor listing at your high school and be certain you're not missing those deadlines, because you're most likely to get those scholarships. The next most likely place is going to be at the college or university or school that you're looking to attend. You want to be talking to the admissions people to find out what do you qualify for as an incoming student. And the key on this is that these are the ones that are renewable, all right? You get a $10,000 scholarship the first year coming in, and they'll renew it for 4 years. It's a $40,000 scholarship, all right? So you want to work with the admissions team. You want to understand what incoming student scholarships are available, and oftentimes that will be based on grade point average ACT score, and class rank. And they'll have a grid. Many students will retake that ACT to bump it up 2 more points to get another $3,000, which translates times 4 to $12,000, okay? So go out and start looking at that right now and working with the admissions people. With regard to admissions people, the seniors in here, how many of you have worked with the admissions teams already and have your college applications in? Okay, so this is good information to know if you haven't done it yet. Get out there and start asking those questions, all right? So, when you get a scholarship at a college or university, it can be based on an incoming student automatic scholarship regarding your class rank, GPA, and ACT score. They also have scholarships that will be based on your interest or your area of study. So make sure you're working with admissions and asking all of those questions to get all of the money you can from the college or university. All right? The third level of scholarships, and it's not to say I put it as the least likely, but you know, I gotta measure 1, 2, 3. So this is number 3. And this is the national scholarship databases, all right? So the millions and billions of dollars that go unfunded. Now, there are a number of websites, and Ashley has some of them listed on your resource as well. And when you came in, you received the flyer for the tuition funding sources scholarship search site. Okay, there's 7 million scholarships out here totaling $41 billion that if you're left-handed, maybe if you have red hair, all of those kind of scholarships, okay? They're all good. You complete a profile, it does all of the search for you behind the background, and it sends you the link to the application to complete it. So go take a look at that. There are other national scholarships, or what we call awards, because they're based on random drawings. And many financial institutions, including Wells Fargo, participate in that. And our College Steps program, we award 180 awards each year, and I've given you a flyer on that. But if you have, check with your lending institution. Oftentimes they will have scholarships or award programs as well for students to help them pay for college. All right? So that's the free money. Let's go for it, okay? So let's take a look at estimating your costs. How many of you right now, if you could, would love to know what it would cost to go to the school you're looking at? That's the goal, isn't it? How much do we need to figure out what we need in the checking account? The federal government requires all colleges and universities to have a net price calculator that is on their website for you to go to, put your information in, and sometimes it's going to ask for the EFC, sometimes it's going to have you go through that FAFSA estimator, and then lay in the EFC. Others will just ask you income and family size information and just pertinent questions, and it'll calculate it out for you. But the required data that you put in, as accurate as that is, this is how accurate your estimate will be. And it will tell you what need-based aid, and oftentimes what scholarships you would be eligible for at that institution. You can go out and do that tonight or tomorrow at the institutions. And it's really a good starting point with the conversation when you're talking to the colleges and universities to say, we've done the net price calculator because we know we can't complete the FAFSA until January 1. But prior to that, we wanted to do some calculations. We did the net price calculator. Can we talk a little bit more about what our family situation is? All right? So know that you can go out on the website. If you type in, if you go to the college search box, the website search box, and just type in net price calculator, it will take you to that part of the school's site to see what is it that you would be eligible for if you were attending that institution. The other part of estimating costs, and this is going to be for seniors right now, there are colleges and universities that may give you an early estimate. They may go through just a whole early estimate process for you. And what I want to tell you is those are usually pretty accurate. But keep in mind the word estimate is estimate, and it's only going to be as accurate as the information that you provide. So be as accurate as you can when you're working with the colleges and universities, so you can get as close to the numbers as possible. All right. So determining if you need additional funding. You've done the net price calculator, you have the net price calculator as an option, and then the financial aid award letters will start to come out likely in April, May time, late March, April timeframe is when you're going to start getting those financial aid award letters. And we'll repeat and go through award letters with you too here in the spring to help you, maneuver those discussions if you'd like. So if you need additional funding, we're going to go to step 4 of the process, which is basically looking at those additional options. If you find that the early estimate, the financial aid award letter, the net price calculator has you sitting really well and your costs are covered, then you're going to skip to step 5 and just make certain that you understand all the timelines and the deadlines along the way, all right? And keep in mind that you do not have to accept every funding option on the financial aid award letter. If you don't need to borrow, you don't need to accept that student loan that's there, all right? So if you feel you don't want to work, you don't have to accept that work award. Although, I will say, working on campuses is a good idea. Emily touched on it. It's only 10 hours a week. It's flexible. When I was at Carroll University, we had 3 or 4 students in our office. They would come in for an hour in between classes, okay? Very flexible. During finals week, we knew they weren't on campus to work for us. They were there to learn. So, the flexibility is there, but it also gives students the ability to feel part of the campus, create a network, and the students that we had in our office just sort of became part of our family as well, and we took care of them, while they were away from home. So, keep in mind that working is a good idea, but I will tell you this, the students have to work the hours to get the financial aid award, okay? And the reason I say that is work study will be presented in a financial aid award letter, and then you accept it, and that basically is the level that a student can earn up to on the campus, okay? And then they're paid as they get paid as they earn it, as they work it. So let's look at additional financing options. All right. Every family situation is going to be different. You're going to want to research specifically for your family, all right? The eligibility criteria as to who is the loan, who's responsible for the loan, is it in the student's name, is the parent co-signing, is it in the parent's name, is the student not even on the loan, the interest rates, the costs and the fees, what repayment options do you have, is it a 15-year repayment, is it a 5-year repayment, is there a prepayment penalty, which there should not be, okay? Most educational loans can be prepaid without a penalty, so know that, they can be paid up front. Co-signers, if you feel that you will reach a point where you're going to co-sign on an education loan, I'd encourage you to go out and look at your credit, make sure everything's in order, all right? Emily touched on the federal direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans. Those are in the student's name, low interest rates, low fees, but they have limits each year, okay? So the first year, a student can get up to $5,500. Once that $5,500 is exhausted, then the family has to look for additional financing, okay? Second year, and this is not year 2, but when they reach their sophomore status in credits, the amount is $6,500, okay? Year 3 is $7,500, 4 is $7,500, 5 is, what's the egg debt limit? Egg debt, the total? $31,500. So for undergraduate, a student can borrow a total of $31,500, okay? But each year, they're limited to an amount. So let's say you need $10,000. The student the first year can only get $5,500, and you will have to figure out where's the other $4,500 coming from. Is it part of the financial aid? Is it scholarships? Will the student work some of it? Is it summer earnings? Is it savings that you have? Okay? So let's talk about some of those options. Before I go there, let's look at the last bullet though. Ideally, the student loan payment should not be more than 10 to 15% of the projected net monthly income after graduation. All right? And if you're looking at the booklet, for step 4, we have the link for the Bureau of Labor Statistics, so you can estimate what the career you're looking at will have as a salary. And then there's also a debt-to-income calculator, so you can put your salary, you can put approximately what you think you're going to be borrowing, and it will calculate out whether you are below the 10%, between the 10 to 15% range, or above the 15% range. Red flags on above the 15%, okay? We want you to manage it and really keep that debt in order. And like Ashley said, there are a lot of great options for careers, and they can be very affordable. I want you to ask them about tuition payment plans. If you can pay as you go, that's the way you want to do it, okay? From savings or just monthly payments along the way. So be certain that you're looking at that. The Federal Direct Parent Loan Plus Loan is a credit-based loan offered by the government. This loan is available to graduate students as well as parents of dependent undergraduate students. So all of you parents can borrow up to the cost of education minus any aid the student has taken. And this loan is in your name, and it can't be removed from your name. So this is in your name. Right now, what's the interest rate? That's the subsidized transfer. Okay. No. Okay. The fee is 4.2. There's a 4.2% fee on the parent loan, and the interest rate, I believe, is at 6.8%. Okay? Almost everybody will get that. The rate is going to change on July 1 every single year. So the rate that it is right now is not really pertinent because you're going to want to know what it will be next July 1. Okay? So you want to watch for that rate on July 1. Private or alternative loans are credit-based loans through lenders. All right? And Wells Fargo is the largest commercial bank in this field, supporting families with education. And these loans are available for graduates, undergraduates, professionals. They're available for parents. They're available for students with a parent cosigner, all right? And lenders involved in this arena of loan options, education financing options, all pretty much have no fees, low interest rates based on your credit, not based on something set by the government, but based on your family's credit situation, okay? They have the option to put it in the student's name and have the parent co-sign. Many of the national lenders in the alternative or private loan programs have co-signer releases, which is sort of, that's an unusual concept I've learned in the financial field. If you buy a car, you put in your son or daughter's name and you co-sign on that loan, parents, your name is on that loan until that car is paid off, right? Okay. For education loans, it works a little differently. When you co-sign on an education loan in the private sector, private or alternative loan, you want to be certain that you're asking the question, is there a co-signer release option available? Because many of them haven't. So after the student makes the first number of payments on time, has the proven credit risk evaluation done, the FICO score and all the payments on time, and that lender sees the student can take the loan on for themselves, then you as the cosigner are off the loan. Okay? There's a process that you have to go through if you take one of these loans, but know that if you co-sign on it, ask if there's a cosigner release and understand at that point what is it that we need to do. Now, the beauty of that is if you're co-signing on a loan and you have a little skin in the game, but you know you can get off the loan, our hope is that you're going to be a really good coach to that student who's fresh out of college, has some debt, help them set up automatic payments, help them make sure they're staying on top of everything. So it's sort of built in to help the student really succeed. All right? So, step 5, let's talk about deadlines, okay? You're gonna wanna start researching all of your additional options and additional financing options at least 3 months before the beginning of the term. So we're talking the term starts in September, we're pushing you back June timeframe. I don't want you to do it, I want you to start doing this now, okay? So those of you who are seniors, when April comes and you've got a financial aid award letter, you have a feeling about what is our next step? What do we have in the savings? How much summer earnings? What's the summer earning goal for the student? Okay, maybe they can pay for their books. Everybody takes ownership to it. But start now and start looking at that, okay? The time-sensitive action items are going to be those scholarship application students, okay? Who all can get the free money. The grant application deadlines and the FAFSA, all right? And the College Go Wisconsin events should be meeting and should be happening within those FAFSA deadlines. I'm not gonna say everyone is, but go out to the school and make certain that you know what is the deadline, when is it for their priority date? When do they need that FAFSA completed? Is it March 1st, is it March 15th? Okay, then line up in early College Go Wisconsin, bring your information and get it done. If you need it done prior to one of those dates, work with the school, have them help you through it. And I know that there may be financial aid nights here in the area as well at some of the local high schools. See if you can attend some of those as well. You want to develop a game plan for budgeting and finances for the student as well while they're in college. So make sure that you're beginning to think about that. How are you going to help them manage their finances when they're far away from home? With the internet right now, it's a little online banking. It's a little easier than back in the day when I was at Turbo. And mom had to send me a check, and then I had to take it down to the business office and cash the check, and get all the money for spending and whatnot. So make a checklist. The booklet that we provided for you tonight has the 5 steps in for you. The planning guide, the brown guide, has some file folder pockets for you to keep information. It has a lot of white space strategically, so you can keep track of things as you're visiting college campuses as well. All right? You want to make certain that you stay on top of those dates and those deadlines, and that you create your network of people to ask those questions at the college and university, as well as here in the community. We're available as resources for you. So, for your timelines and deadlines, January, that's where the FAFSA online right now is going to start. For those of you who are juniors, sophomores, and freshmen in here, Ashley and I have talked about how early we're going to be doing this next year. If the date for the FAFSA application is October 1st next year, we likely will be helping families through this again, probably in the August timeframe. We'll see. So more to come on that. Community resources will be available for you. All right. February through March. Make sure that you have all of the financial aid forms completed that the financial aid office needs. There are private colleges that use an additional form called the College Scholarship Services Profile Form, CSS Profile, all right? That's an additional form for them to receive information about the family's financial situation in more depth than what the FAFSA asks, all right? And so if you see that, don't be surprised. Just know that you're going to have to complete it and ask the college or university a little bit more about that. February and March timeframe, actually it's usually late February, early March is when the private colleges and universities will start sending out their award letters. April, they'll finish it off. May 1st is the admissions priority deadline. The schools want to know. It's not a hard deadline, but they're trying to estimate what their fall class will be. So by May 1st, they'll want to know, are you going to come or are you not going to come, or are you still not sure? So they'll want you to have that conversation with them as well. And then, April through August, we're going to cover that in our next part of this series about reviewing that financial aid award letter, identifying the options that are there for you. We're going to be talking about orientation events, what to expect for orientation registration events when you're on the campus and ready to commit and keep moving through. And Ashley's got great experience on that with her admissions background. So let's move in and wrap up with some helpful tools and resources. You'll see these are in the back of your booklet, your financial aid journey in 5 steps. And we've covered a few of these, the College Steps program. If you look at it, this is actually a free college planning program as well for parents and students. What Wells Fargo does is we send out information based on the year in school, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, student, or parent. We'll send you the information that we feel needs to keep you on track to start the discussion with the family, and then we have the awards, the random drawings that we do for that program as well. So you can sign up for that, consider that. If you are a blogger, we have some great writers on our blog, from parents to recent grads, to students who've paid off their debt, to just students who are in school right now, so you can check that out. The tuition funding sources, scholarship search, you have the flyer on that. If you want more education on just managing finances, the educational resources that are available are out on the Financial Dash Education, just to get everyone started off on managing money, managing a checking account, what a debit card is, what a credit card is, all of that. So keep in mind that there are resources. If you want to listen to the 5 steps again, we actually have YouTube videos on the booklet. Once we released this information in 2012, we heard that people wanted it more in, they didn't want to hear me speak all the time. Couldn't figure out why. So we have Mr. Fellows, the Wiser College Advisor, out on YouTube, who will walk you through the 5 steps as well. And he does a really good job actually on step 4 with reviewing a financial aid award letter and additional options, so know that that's there. The FAFSA forecasting calculator, we've got the link in the booklet for you there, the FAFSA form. Again, January 1st this year for seniors, as Emily had stated. And then really important links. When you are looking at what is it going to cost us at a school, I want all of you to forecast it out as best as you can, so there are no surprises on the debt level at the end, okay? So we give you the Bureau of Labor Statistics to figure out how much money that career will have, and then estimating that debt to income as well, all right? So, we are going to wrap up with a Q&A, and I just saw Tom just stepped away. Tom will come back in a minute. There he comes. You got a phone call? Bad time. Hey, Tom. Okay, so Tom Meyer is one of our Wells Fargo private bankers here at the Fisk location. And Tom can answer questions about 529s. If you have 529s and you're not quite sure how do we pull the money out, what do we do with the money, all of that, Tom can just, any general question about any 529, Tom's your expert here tonight to ask that, all right? Okay, so show of hands. How many know more now than you knew an hour ago? Okay? Was it, okay. So now, you all have evaluations, please complete those.